My name is TotalBiscuit, and I suck at Starcraft 2. Yes, indeed, folks, welcome to yet another edition of I Suck at Starcraft 2. It's myself versus Malvoo. This is the second game I ever played, and this occurs approximately 6 minutes after the first. Let's see if I've learned anything in that time. I must say I have my doubts. We'll see what happens. So I've accelerated the speed of the replay here because you know exactly what's going on. I'm building SCVs as fast as possible, and he's building probes as fast as Protossibly. Am I right? Oh, God. Yeah, so we're building a supply depot in completely the wrong place, evidently not learning anything whatsoever from the first game where I was told, block the choke. There's the choke. Is it blocked? Does it look blocked to you? No. So I'm also building a Vespene refinery quite early on, thinking, hey, let's get some early tech, and a barracks right there, which is not the worst build order ever, to be honest. It could be an awful lot worse than that, and indeed, if we look at the base of Malvoo, which we will quite shortly, you'll see that he went down a similar route. He's sending in his scouts. Do I have anything whatsoever to stop them? Absolutely not. There's his gateway, and he's already got a Vespene refinery up there, so he's also building his cybernetics core, looking for some early technology by the looks of it. He is slightly outdoing me in terms of builders, but not by much. Now, finally, I'm starting to gather some Vespene, and he is moving his scouts in there. He'll be able to see exactly what I'm building. Now, he's not got anything to see right now, but he has a critical mistake from me. He's in the base. He can see exactly what's going on. So what do? Well, no, says the TotalBiscuit. I'm going to do something incredibly foolish and show him my strategy. I'm going to move over my barracks right there because I placed it in the wrong place and build a reactor while he's looking at it. Great. So he now knows that my strategy here was to spam Marines early game. And he will, of course, be able to counter that. Did I send a scout over? No, I didn't, because I wasn't thinking straight. It gets very hectic. I'm not going to excuse myself, and this is something that I will endeavor to get better at, but it does get a little bit hectic, and I got too absorbed in my building and didn't think. So if I'd been able to see him there, I would already see he's building zealots. He's got 2 up already. Had he rushed me at this point, I would be toast. Haven't blocked my choke, got no Marines behind any kind of barricade whatsoever. I would be dead. And as I recall, in a few games' time, he actually does that, but we'll see what happens. So out goes his probe, and that's my 3rd supply depot being built there. That's fine. My economy's okay. I'm a couple behind him in terms of builders, and I'm starting to spam Marines at a rate of 2 per, thanks to the reactor. But he is outdoing me in terms of zealots, and of course, in a one-on-one fight, unless there's some kind of terrain advantage, then I am going to lose. He's already going for an early expansion, which you noticed he didn't really do the first time, possibly going in for the long game there. I don't do that. I haven't focused on that at all. Building a 4th supply depot for God knows what reason, and continuing to spam as many SCVs as I possibly can. Chasing off his little probe there, so that at least he can't watch what I'm doing. Not that he's really going to be getting an awful lot of information at the moment. Spamming Marines, okay, counter is zealots for the time being. He's got more zealots than I have Marines, or at least enough to justify killing me horribly. Right, so let's go and have a look and see what I actually planned on doing here. I was going to get a group of Marines together and go in aggressively, but I suffered, and you'll see this a little bit later on, from one of the real problems with newbies in any kind of game like this, and that's I get gun shy. I was far too afraid to go in. Right now, I actually could go in there and I'd stand a chance. 10 Marines to 5 Zealots. Properly microed? Yeah, I probably could, especially if I got the drop on him. But I didn't. I stood there. I continued to stand there, building as many Marines as possible, and thinking, hey, let's mass a huge force. Bad idea. Terrible idea. Honestly, it really is. You gotta really get aggressive early on. I could have gone after his expansion there very easily, done a bit of damage. Did I? No, I didn't. But I have started building my expansion, so we're looking at reasonably good resources and economy there. What I have forgotten to do is I've got so caught up in building as many units as possible that I forgot to build SCVs. He's now 8 builders ahead and rising. 9... 10, blah, blah, blah. But what I have decided to do, since I was assuming he was going for Zealots, I didn't see it, I could have been entirely wrong, but since he used them quite a bit last game, I decided I would build some Hellions, which are absolutely fantastic area of effect units. They're very effective against infantry, and can be upgraded to be even more so. So if he goes in with a big group of Zealots, I've got the Hellions to do the damage, as well as Marines to back them up. At present, I have a force that could beat his. That's the really annoying thing about this. Had I gone in earlier, I would have overwhelmed him. He's got 7 Zealots with a 1 unit for support back up there. I got 3 Hellions and 16 Marines and climbing. Easily enough to do it. And here's the problem. I'm getting tunnel vision in terms of building units and completely forgetting about my SCVs. He's now over 10 ahead in terms of how many builder units he's got. You probably noticed there on the mini-map that he moved a bunch of his builder units down from his main base to his expansion. I didn't do that. I just started building new builder units, which of course resulted in my economy falling further and further behind. It's a good little force that I've got going there. I could go for it, but I didn't. And that's the annoying thing. You saw his scout, got another look-see at what I've got going on there, and I've decided I'm sick of that, so I'm going to build a bunker. But he now knows that I've got Hellions, which means he's going to build accordingly. He is going to attempt to counter the Hellions. You can see he's building a upgrade for his Zealots right there. It's Charge, which allows him to close the gap very quickly with my Marines. That will give him the edge. Of course, the only real advantage that Marines have got, other than numbers, are the ability to run incredibly fast. And there's his robotics facility. He's now building a Colossus, a huge unit, which will easily annihilate my forces. I'm letting him tech, and that is incredibly stupid. He's got a sentry there, which have a number of very nasty abilities, including the ability to make a force field and a guardian shield. Great for backing up Zealots, because, of course, that's going to absorb a lot of the fire going in, which is the time when Zealots are most vulnerable. Once they're in melee, then you're pretty much toast. He's got a Colossus up, and I really have absolutely nothing to counter it. Did I scout? No, of course not. That would be far too sensible. I could be doing scans, and were I doing scans, I'd have known about this Colossus. I forgot, honestly. I got tunnel vision and completely forgot that I had the ability to do scans from my command center. So I don't know what's going on, I don't know where he is, and he's closed off his choke point quite nicely there with a photon cannon, and will no doubt build a few more. Now, I'm going to start moving my units out here. So I thought, hey, I've got enough units here, it'll be good. So you see there, we've got some Marines, we've got some Marauders for anti-armor, and 6 or so Hellions, which is going to be... That's a reasonable force, honestly, and you see his force there. I could win it, but I don't. As you can see here, I screw up, and everything goes horribly wrong. Let's stop it for a moment. Let's rewind and see what exactly happened. I'm going to decrease the speed, and I'm going to zoom back a little bit here. I probably need to go a little bit further. You can see a divergence there between the two forces, and there's my critical error. So let's show you how that happened and how to avoid it. Go back to 1340 in the replay. There's my force. And you can see there the Protoss force. Let's speed up just a little bit, go on slower, and we'll start. So I've got my group together there, and at the bottom you can see my groupings, which are not correct, honestly. They are a complete mess. Didn't properly group up my forces. So we've got to look at what we've got here. Got Marines, got Hellions, we've got Marauders, and I move my group right there, and I somehow split them up. I didn't properly group them together, and I just clicked a point on the map. Incredibly dumb thing to do. Never ever do that. Never click a point on the minimap and assume that they'll go where you want them to. I should have properly micromanaged the units to make sure they went in there. And you know what? I might not have won it, but I've certainly come off a lot better than I do here. You see the Hellions? Massive damage being done to the Zealots. It would have been incredibly effective to that tightly packed group, especially with the Marines and the Marauders backing them up. Get the Marauders onto the Colossi, blow them up there, and use the Hellions to deal with the Zealots and massed Marine firepower and cannon fodder. Yeah, it would have worked. And I absolutely mucked it up. And to be honest, in a pro game, that would have been my doom. Now, you see there an observer unit. He can now see my base. I have no idea. At this point, I didn't even know you could build those, so I have no detectors whatsoever. Of course, that is something I rectify in future games. But he knows exactly what I'm building. He could see that I've got a starport there, and he's got his force camped out there, and I don't even know it's there. I didn't even bother to scout. I didn't look. So what's he building? He's now building Stalkers. Stalkers are great anti-armor. They will bust my Hellions. He knows that my Hellions are capable of damage, and he is going to wreck them as hard as humanly possible. We can look at the unit comparison there, and we can see that he's very clearly doing better. I'm building siege tanks to attempt to deal with the Colossi, as well as doing a little bit of AoE damage, but he's way ahead in terms of his army and his production. stacking all my stuff down there. It's nice and safe for the time being. I've even got the bunker upgrade, which allows for 6 capacity in the bunkers instead of 4. So I'm keeping my Marines nice and safe, provide some sheltered firepower there to defend my base. But he started building an expansion and a staging area very close to my base. And of course, I have no idea that it's there. He's got a very large army, and nothing I can really build at this point is going to make all that much of a difference. He's so far ahead. I even decided I'd start building a little bit of air. You saw my starport, and I built these, which are Banshees. They're ground attack aircraft. They're quite effective, but I don't have enough of them, honestly, to really make all that much of a difference. I decided to move them over there to see if he had an expansion up there, doing a little bit of scouting of my own. Evidently, he did not. Didn't decide to do anything after that, and it's probably for the best, because there are photon cannons in his expansion. Start building my 3rd expansion there, or indeed my 2nd expansion, and you can see he already knows that I'm building. He saw that I built a battle cruiser. So what did he do? He built a bunch of anti-air fighters, Phoenixes. Let's pause it and let's have a look at what he does with them. They can do relatively well against a battle cruiser, but it is well defended. See the 2 bunkers there, we've got the Marines firing on there. He loses a couple and he's unwilling to commit. Does a little bit of damage to the battle cruiser, not too much. Loses a couple of units and out he moves. But I know that he's got Air Force now. It will not help because in comes his ground forces. And do I have a counter? No, absolutely not. I decided to detonate my own building there just so I didn't lose as many resources. Lost a bunch of SCVs on the way back. Started moving my forces in here in a vain attempt to actually counter his force. Of course, that force is massive in comparison to mine, and I really don't have an awful lot to do with it. And he's moving back there, and I make the foolish decision to chase him straight into a trap. Multiple photon cannons, he turns around, annihilates my vanguard there. Again, splitting up with the forces, not properly micromanaged, and absolutely, completely toasted in every possible respect. Not good at all. Oh no. And that really is that in terms of it, and indeed I concede at that point right there. I've only got a couple of siege tanks and a battle cruiser, and I just give up because hey, he can walk straight into my base. So let's do a bit of a post-mortem and have a look at what's wrong. Well, it should be obvious to you. You've seen 2 major mistakes there. He's still far ahead on resources, and his income is fantastic. Units-wise, 50 to 18 in terms of the SCVs. Obviously, I lost about 10, but he still had about double what I had. He had a bunch of great bases with great defense on them. He lured me straight into a trap, and he had a fantastic combined arms force that countered mine absolutely perfectly. I lost 61 units, and he lost 15. Not even close. His production, yeah, he doesn't even need to build anything. His economy, far ahead of mine, although we were relatively equal on tech level. So a little bit of a slower game than last time, but still defeated in a rather embarrassing manner. My name is TotalBiscuit, and I suck at Starcraft 2. I'll see you next time.